Welcome to NovelBot. This is the audiobook of Rebirth of a Genius. Creator Destroyer Chapter 37 to 40. Jack carried Sam to his room and laid him on his bed and came downstairs. He looked at the black sword that was placed on the table. He took the sword and caressed each and every part of it, carefully feeling the expert craftsmanship and the superior aura coming from the sword. The sword in total is a little less than 3 foot long, and the blade itself is a little bit more than 2 foot. It is a single-edged blade which is fine and sharp. He can even feel the aura emanated by the beast blood used to quench it. Black sword is exquisite at a single look, and he wants to wield it and don't want to put it down. He tried to swing the sword, and then he felt the slight resistance. The sword is not heavy. It is around 12 kgs. But for the cultivators it was light like a feather. But the black meteorite weapon has a special property that the density of the metal increases, as it increases in rank further. Now that it is only at rank 2 it is not that heavy. Time slowly passed and Jack just held the sword and tried to wield it to get comfortable with it, and slowly the resistance started fading. After a long time, a few hours away from the noon, Jack heard the footsteps from the stairs, and he saw Sam walking down the stairs with his usual calm expression. He came down and took a seat and gestured Jack to take a seat. Both of them sat there for a few moments maintaining the silence. Sam finally spoke. "Is it good enough?" Sam asked as he looked at the sword. Jack also took a look at it and felt a sharp edge, then he looked at Sam and said, "It is more than what I could ask for. Are you sure you want to give the rest of the black meteorite sand to me?" Sam asked as he felt that no matter how he looked at it, the deal was completely beneficial to him only. After all, making a sword is only around a day of time for him, nothing else. For a day worth of time, he didn't think that someone is generous enough to present around more than 20 kilograms of level 2 meteorite sand. Looking at Sam's expression, Jack just shook his head with a faint smile, and then replied, "I don't have any use with it. But an artisan like you can make it real treasure. After all, with me, it would only be a more valuable sand. Anyway, if you think the price is too high, then I can ask something from you. You just have to agree for one request of mine in the future, but don't worry, the request wouldn't be disadvantageous to you." Sam pondered a bit and nodded his head, and then he stood up and shook Jack's hand, who also stood up. Then after thinking for a second, he said, "I have something to do, you can stay here for a while if you want." Jack hesitated for a minute and asked, "Are you going to make something with the black meteorite sand?" Sam just nodded and didn't say anything else. Jack took a deep breath and said, "If you don't mind, can I watch it?" Jack asked with hesitation. He knew his request was rude. After all, an artisan's technique is a valuable knowledge, and not everyone can just spectate it. Last night, it was still not over the line a sword was made for Jack himself. But today, Sam is working for something of his personal use. So, it is indeed not appropriate for Jack to watch it. But he can't just convince himself to let go of an opportunity to see how Sam is going to work with the black meteorite sand. He felt that Sam's techniques were unique and something of his own. He really wanted to see how Sam is going to use the precious raw material. Sam thought for a moment and said, "Sure." His reply was so nonchalant. Jack was a bit dazed and wasn't able to react as Sam moved towards the forging room. He came out of his daze and ran towards the room, afraid that he would miss something. Sam slowly walked towards the cauldron in the forging room and picked up the bag of black meteorite sand. The bag was still 2/3 full, and he poured a quarter of it in the cauldron, and he slowly started heating it up. After a few hours, powder started to melt down, and soon a pool of molten liquid metal could be seen. Just as Jack was expecting Sam to do something, he saw Sam taking out the same silk thread he took earlier. This is the same Heaven Spear silk moss neutral thread. But this time the thread is not a small amount like before, instead it is a big bundle. Sam dipped the thread bundle and started pulling out while squeezing, as he repeated the earlier actions again, and started making the threads. The process went on for hours. Seeing this, Jack couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. He didn't expect that Sam would do something like this again. Suddenly, he came to realization. Sam agreed readily because he already saw the technique. Jack only sighed. As Sam knew Jack's thoughts, he would definitely praise him for deducing accurately. Even though Sam was confident that not everyone can use his skills just by watching them and not everyone can copy his ideas, he just wanted to be careful. After all, no one could be cautious enough in this dog-eat-dog world. It was almost evening by the time Sam finished making the threads, and half the bundle almost dried by the time he finished taking out the last bit of thread from the cauldron. There is only a small amount of metal left in the cauldron. Sam took out a very wooden carving and prepared a mold. He again started heating up the remaining metal, so that it could become finer liquid again, and after that he poured the metal in the mold and left it to solidify. Sam left the thread bundle and sat down as he started recovering his energy. Then only Jack noticed the large thread and shocked. He was so focused on Sam's techniques and busy on being disappointed, he almost forgot the size of the thread bundle. The size is almost of 2 basketballs combined, and he has only one thought. What is he going to do with that? He just looked at Sam with anticipation as he waited. Sam opened his eyes only after it became dark outside. He took the dried bundle in his hands and started walking to the next room, and Jack followed. When Jack followed inside the room, he was completely stunned. There are wooden mannequins and big table. There are all the tools required for a tailor. He looked at all the equipment and Sam. Never in his life did he think that this cold guy would be a tailor. This also first time Sam came into the room and inspected all the tools. This room was prepared by Philip when he was training for 2 months inside the divine dimension. After inspecting everything, he took out his black feather coat, which he kept in his storage when he was forging, and placed it on the table. He took out 2 big needles from the table drawer and inserted the thread inside the needle hole. These needles are called tapestry needles, which are very common instruments for weaving a fabric. He started weaving skillfully with high dexterity and speed, as he used the light spiritual energy. Jack stared at the after images of the hands and was feeling dizzy. He looked at Sam's concentrated face, and then compared it with him, who tore away Carl's limbs without even giving a second thought or batting an eyelid, even when all the blood splashed on his face. There's no comparison at all. Nobody would imagine that the Sam who could kill someone, making everyone who even looked at him with fear, is now weaving a cloth. He even ignored the fact that Sam is using an extremely precious material like the black meteorite sand as a thread for a cloth. Time slowly flew as Sam just weaved, and big piece of cloth came to take a shape as it laid on the table. The time flew and it became midnight. After the thread is over, Sam put a piece of chalk and started marking as he took out a set of measuring ribbons. After that he took out a pair of scissors and tried to cut. Clang, with an annoying sound, the scissors broke. Then only Sam came out of his zone and then looked at the broken scissors and then at the cloth. Then only he realized that he can't cut this cloth with a normal scissors. He looked around and he finally landed his gaze on Jack, who was staring at him with a dumbfounded expression. He suddenly got an idea and then he walked towards Jack. "Can I borrow your sword?" Sam asked. Jack came out of his daze and then took out the black sword from his storage. Sam held the sword and then passed the cloth to Jack. "Hold this cloth at these 2 places." He guided Jack to hold the cloth as he spread his hands. Then a clearly drawn chalk line could be seen. Sam took a step back and held the sword tightly, then with a swing a sword keen could be heard in the room, and the cloth became 2. Jack almost jumped out of his skin as he saw Sam making his move. After he came to his senses, he couldn't help look at Sam in admiration at his control over sword. He can cut a solid anvil and can also cut a bolt of cloth without escaping the range. Soon, sword keening could be continuously heard as Sam and Jack repeated the same actions, and a number of various sized cloth pieces could be seen. Sam walked towards the mannequin, and then only he remembered something, and immediately ran over to the forging room. After a few minutes and he came back. He has a black needle in his hand. Then he placed the clothes over mannequin and started sewing with the same leftover thread. After the work is done, there was a coat on the mannequin. Jack looked at the coat and then looked at the black coat with the feather patterns on the table. But just as he was about to compare the two, he saw Sam burning the feather coat, and, in a few minutes, there were only a pile of black feathers left inside the disappearing golden flames. Jack was surprised by 2 things this time. First one, the feathers are real. The second one, Sam couldn't burn the feathers. He was wondering how Sam could do that. Never in his mind did he think the feathers are of precious material. He just gave all the credit to Sam's fire control. Of course, he couldn't be more wrong. Sam took the feathers and started his embroidery just like he did before. Jack had same feeling as Philip and others as he looked at Sam working with a smile on his handsome face. The smile, and devilishly handsome one at that, didn't even match the cold-blooded demon who could kill that ruthlessly. He just stood there as he looked at him working. By the time Sam was done, there was birds chirping that could be heard from outside. Then only Jack came out of his daze and realized that it was already morning. Sam took the new coat off of the mannequin and wore it. Jack just looked at him standing majestically as he wore the coat and gave a supreme aura. Sam felt a sense of deja vu as he wore the coat. It was just like how he did it last time at the Lava Rock Village. He couldn't help but chuckle as he looked at the coat. Grumbles. Suddenly a stomach grumbling disrupted the silence, and Sam looked at his stomach as he felt an immense hunger. Then he looked at Jack, who just came out of the daze, and said, "Want to eat something?" Sam and Jack are sitting at the riverside where Sam usually eat along with Philip and others. This time there is a huge bird that was roasting on the fire. Sam looked at intently as he was waiting for it to cook waster. Even though he could make it faster with the golden flames, the feel of waiting while roasting the meat on an open fire is really good. "Sam, I want to make a deal with you." Jack broke the silence. "What would that be?" Sam asked as he flipped the bird. "Do you need more meteorite sand?" This line caught Sam's attention completely. He turned towards Jack and looked at him with a serious expression. "You have more?" he asked. "No, but I know a place where you can find it." Jack replied with same calm tone. "Why should I believe you?" Sam asked a little cautiously. "The black meteorite sand is a proof itself. That is what it is making it more suspicious. Even though you and I might not have any grudges, you might have some other intentions to bait me with it. After all, if you really know the location where the meteorite sand is, you can make a deal with a high-level noble family, or better yet the royal family. You can live your life in luxury. Why would you come all the way here to a backward city like this, and make a deal with me using that precious resource?" Sam said bluntly. Jack shook his head at Sam's speculations, and didn't know what to say for a moment. "What should I do to have you believe me?" "Nothing much. Just tell me the truth of the whole matter. Why do you want to make a deal with me? Where did you get this black meteorite sand, and how are you so sure that there is meteorite sand at some place, and how did you know it? Hearing Sam's questions, Jack hesitated a little and finally came to a decision. I don't know if you will believe me if I tell you the truth, but since you asked, I will tell you. My father is originally from the royal capital. He once accompanied a group to an expedition. At that time the group went to the small island, and then discovered a large amount of all kinds of meteorite sands. My father and the other members in the group are very happy to find it, and everyone took a small amount of a type of meteorite sand, and then made an agreement that everyone should keep the island a secret, and all of them could only come back once a year to take a small amount at the same time, in order to not to draw any suspicion. They took a sole oath, and all left their own ways after making an agreement on the next time they should meet. But they didn't know they were already betrayed. One of the guys already sent the news back to his organization even before they made an oath. They already put some tracker spell on the rest of the group and hunted down on the very next days. But my father already had made some preparations as he prepared to along with my mother and me. But they still managed to find us out, and he took the enemies on and let my mother and me escape. My mother then fled with me to the village. The black meteorite sand I took out yesterday is the one that my father passed. Jack said as he felt a bit sad. How long has it been? Sam asked calmly. 15 years, Jack replied in an equally calm but sad tone. Then you were just an infant at that time. How do you know all these? Sam asked with some suspicion. Jack just let out a sigh and shook his head. Then he took out a scroll and passed it to Sam. I only found it recently. My mom died a year ago and then she passed me the scroll. She said that this given to her by my father to be passed on to me after I turned 16. But she passed away last year as due to her past ailments. Sam took the scroll and read everything. The scroll contained more or less what Jack said. But there's an extra info. That is the name of the organization. It is called Blackwater Organization. Sam looked at Jack and asked, what is the deal then? I want your help in the destroying the Blackwater Organization. Jack said in a cold tone. I am not a person who kills for money. Even though I believe you. The Blackwater and I don't have any grudges. So, I have no reason to destroy them. Sam said. Take a look at this. Jack tossed another scroll to Sam. Sam opened it with a puzzled look and frowned up on looking at its contents. It is a lot of information about the organization. There are all types of shady businesses they are a part of. Sam remembered the mafia back on modern Earth. This Blackwater is this world's version of the mafia. Just as he was about to say that it is none of his business if the Blackwater is involved in these kinds of business, he saw the last of the list and frowned. He fell into a deep thought. He really didn't care much about the starting of the list, as there is not such as an absolutely good society. The underworld is common. But the last of list made him really despise this organization. Where did you get this info? Sam asked as he looked at Jack. Jack sensed that something was wrong. My father used to work for a royal family. My mother said that after he came back from the expedition, he started investigating everyone that went along with him using all his resources, that he came to know that one of them was from the Blackwater. So, he collected all the info he can and passed it to my mom along with the other scroll. After Jack finished, Sam stayed silent for some time, and then looked at the last line with some hesitation. Then he took a deep breath and said, I will help you, but not in a direct way. I won't just directly attack the organization with force, and I am not going to come into limelight directly. But whenever you are going to make a move, you have to tell me and I will plan it in such a way that you can give them the maximum damage. I will only come to limelight when they put their sights on me. I will only take the payment after you feel satisfied, and I will only take it for the work I provided. So, if you want to take the deal, I am okay with it. Hearing Sam's words, Jack was a bit puzzled. He was mainly asking Sam for this deal because of the immense potential of him. His combat prowess is off the charts, and he seemed to have a lot of talents in auxiliary professions. But when he heard confidence in Sam's words, he couldn't help but feel a bit tempted, but he can't bring himself to completely accept it. Sensing his hesitation, Sam spoke again. According to the info in the scroll, the Blackwater is an immense organization with many branches. Let us give our deal a test run. If we go to the Count City, there might be a branch there. We will make some arrangements and eliminate the branch over there. So, you can think about the cooperation after that. Jack thought for a moment and nodded his head. I am okay with this, but when do we go to Count City? He asked as he looked at Sam with some expectation. He really is too eager to get revenge. We don't have to go alone. You go back to school today and then you wait there. There will be a team of people going to be selected to be sent to the Count City in 12 days. So, there might be a news of selection and you can try your hand in it. If you can make it, we will be having a free ride. Jack was a bit surprised and calmed down. He nodded at Sam and extended his hand. It is deal. Deal. Then soon became silent as they munched on the meat. Meanwhile in the Crimson Flame family the atmosphere was a bit gloomy. The meeting room was filled with the sadness as the family head sat on the main chair, and all the elders took a seat. There's a woman who is sobbing sat next to the family head. Freya stood in the center and looked at the family head. Freya, can you do this for the family? The family head asked Freya with a pleading tone. No, father. I already asked you before to not make a move on him. You refused and sent people to assassinate him. He got the news. Then when he is taking the academy assessment, you also asked Carl and others to make a move, just because he took revenge for what you did. Now, you want to meet him just like that because he has status that you cannot offend. Sorry, father. I already did what I can and already requested him to be lenient towards us. If you don't provoke him any further, he will be lenient. I can't bring myself to make a request for him to meet you. After all, even though he is magnanimous and can do that for me because of our friendship, I won't have any face to show him after that. I still have some shame left, Freya said with a tone filled with disappointment. Freya, how can you say that? You have to do something to our family. An elder from the side suggested. And why should I do that? I am not the one who created the mess. You the esteemed elders did, and you have face to ask me to clean up. Dream on, she said and left without any hesitation. All the elders looked ashamed being berated by a young girl. What a pity. We have lost a genius like Carl, and we also lost a chance to maintain a good relationship with such a monstrous talent. And worse, we have offended him. Someone from the side sighed as he thought of the situation. Maybe those from the academy already knew that. That is why they didn't send the elders to save Carl. They truly are meticulous when currying favor. No. They didn't intentionally stop the elders from saving him. It is more like they are not able to at all. Suddenly the family head said, making all the room silent. What do you mean? Family head, the judge of the assessment is not the academy elders but something else. There is another rule that the principal didn't mention, as it has become the norm since so many years that the rule was implemented and there was not a need aroused. But due to Carl and others the rule was used after a long time. The family head sighed as he remembered about his son. What kind of rule it is? One of the mask. When somebody issues a death challenges and keep their escape tokens as wager, the other elders can't interfere in the fight while they are in the testing grounds. Actually, the judge won't allow it. The patriarch said in a low voice. But isn't the judge also the part of academy, and isn't he also human? He can bend the rules, right? No, the formation itself is the judge. No human is fit enough to judge the assessment as they can influence the judgment. All the elders felt confused. What do you mean the formation is judge? Someone asked. But this time there is no reply. Meanwhile, Sam finished his meal and went to the city along with Jack. They went to the market, and Sam bought a lot of materials for tailoring, raw materials for forging, and a lot of materials for inscription ink. Jack looked at the sheer amount of the materials and took a deep breath. Sam, why are you buying so much? He asked, failing to hide his curiosity. I need to make some money, Sam said and continued a shopping spree. It was already afternoon by the time Sam came back to his mansion. Jack has gone back to the academy. After entering his mansion, Sam took a seat on a chair and after a moment of silence he spoke. I don't like guests coming uninvited. So, you better come out while I'm being nice. As soon as Sam's words were finished, a person came out from our room slowly. He is a tall young man who seemed to be 18 to 19 years of age. His looks are quite average, and he would just blend in with crowd. The only notable thing about this guy is the nose that is completely in the air. If it is possible, he might want to touch the sky with it. He is arrogant to the bones. He came in front of Sam and sat down in a chair opposite to him unceremoniously, and made himself comfortable. The young man sized him up and said with arrogance, You must be Sam. You are just like how the rumors mention. You are really a brat who doesn't know manners. You not know how to pay respect to the seniors in the academy, he said as he puffed his chest to make sure that Sam can get a clear look at the 3 stars on the uniform. But what he got was the calm look of Sam without any emotions. Anyway, I heard that you are a proficient artisan, inscription master and formation master. I want you to make me some inscriptions. I want them to be attack type, defense type. Don't give me some trashy things. Since you are an acolyte warrior mage with fire tribute, you have to make the inscriptions of fire type, and I want at least a 50 of each of them. I also want a rank 2 spear. I am a warrior, so I will be using it. So, make sure that you do your job properly. Make some inscriptions on it as well. Albert didn't even bother to look at Sam and said whatever he wants. Sam didn't stop him either. He just went along. Albert continued. I will give you a week time, he said and then turned around to leave. Wait, Sam said as Albert stopped in tracks. What, you have any objections? This is the protection fee I am collecting to take care of you in the academy. After all, you don't want a novice maid sneak up on you when you are in your accommodation or a novice warrior trying to kill you at your mansion, right? You better think carefully. Albert threatened with a smile. Who are you exactly? Sam asked with a cold glint in his eyes. What? Do you really want to pressure with your status? I am Albert. I am son of the head of the pharmaceutical tower. You can flaunt your status at anyone. But you have to keep your tail between your legs in front of the pharmaceutical tower. After all, it would not be good if no healer comes to your aid within the city when you are hurt, he said with a mocking smile as he left the mansion. He didn't even have a thought that Sam would reject him. Sam is looking at his departing back with an intense disregard. He is looking at Albert as if he was a brainless fool. He understood one thing. Albert is a frog in a well. In his eyes, the Starwood City is the only world he knew. After all, if he could think with some common sense, he can understand that threatening Sam with his father's status as head of the pharmaceutical tower was quite foolish. Sam suddenly heard someone coming and saw two panthers pouncing at him. There are the two cubs he picked up. He rubbed their heads as they snuggled into him, as if Sam's embrace is the only safe spot in the world. Right now, they're already at the peak of the level 1. Sam didn't know why, but these panthers are growing exceptionally well under his care. Say, little ones, do I really look like that much of a vegetarian? Sam asked as he stroked their mane with each hand. The two panthers looked at him with puzzled expressions. Never mind. I should really think of a way to make sure this guy knew I am a non-vegetarian. After all, I still eat an eagle for breakfast, he said as he walked to the bedroom along with the panthers. Then he disappeared and reappeared inside the tower. Sam slowly walked through the racks as he observed. Then he stopped at a rank named Usage of Light Element. He looked through various shelves in the racks. There were all types of auxiliary uses of light element listed there, like long-time illumination, short-term illumination, night vision, etc. He finally stopped at a wisp named How Light Element Works in Healing. He stopped and took the wisp in arms as he started absorbing the knowledge slowly. Actually, Sam didn't really want to become a healer immediately. He wanted to study this field after he left the Starwood City. But now he changed his mind. Sam went through the healing procedures and spells carefully. Actually, healing spells are quite simple and there are very few of them. Their diagnosis, basic healing for wounds, purification for blood and toxins, advanced healing, which is used for high-level injuries when limbs are torn off, and then finally regrowth, which is growing a missing organ. But the regrowth is almost lost in the world, and only a few very high-level healers which can be counted on one hand can perform it. The healer spells are not considered like the attack spells, which are classified using the power level. But the healer spells are classified by the level of control. The only requirement to heal the spell is that the mage has to have a light attribute, and then he has to have an exceptional control, and another condition is that adequate spiritual energy. The more spiritual energy a healer has, the higher level of injury, and the higher level of the cultivator he can cure. From the information, Sam came to know that the healers are ranked rather differently compared to other profession. The healers will be ranked on how high the level of the cultivator they can cure. That means, if a healer who is at an acolyte stage can cure a cultivator at novice stage for an advanced injury, he will be ranked as a rank 2 healer. Sam went through the information and started observing how the spell works. He observed and analyzed each and every spell one by one. After a while, Sam noticed something in common in all the spells. The spells all depend on the control of the spiritual energy, and are inducing the mitotic division by exciting the vitality of the already present cells in the body. Basically, a human body is made of so many cells which are formed by mitotic division, which is started from a single cell, and this will stop after reaching a certain stage, and will only happen in small amounts, such as when healing some minor wounds on the skin. But this mitotic division will stop making a new organ or limb because they become stable. The light elemental energy, full of vitality, will make the cells escape from the passive stage and increase the rate of healing. Sam opened his eyes and went to the second floor and started practicing in simulation environment. He kept on practicing his control over his elemental energy as he stood in a single place motionlessly. Time flew by slowly and he kept on practicing, and soon 15 days passed inside the tower, and only 1.5 days passed outside the tower. Sam finally came out of the tower with a satisfied expression and slept on his bed peacefully. Next day morning, Sam couldn't help but grumble. 3 days have passed and only 2 days are left for the auction, and he couldn't help feel a little down. He wanted to use this chance to make a fortune in the city before leaving it. But now he can only earn a little less. When Sam came down and thinking of what to do to earn more money this time as he ate along with the panthers, he saw another group of uninvited guests. But this time he couldn't help but feel a little serious. He saw 2 middle-aged men walk towards his mansion through the window. They're the Artisan Tower head and the Crimson Flame family head. When they entered the mansion, Sam didn't say anything and looked at the 2 men with a cold look. "Sir Sam, I have something to discuss with you. But the family head of the Crimson Flame family also has something important. If you can spare your time a little." The Artisan Tower head spoke in a mellow tone. But Sam didn't say anything and just gestured them to sit. As soon as he took a seat, the Crimson Flame family head spoke. "Sir Sam, I know that you and our family has differences. It was my mistake to send people after you due to my greed, and it was Carl's mistake to go after your life in the test. I know it is not easy to forgive us, but I still hope that you can be magnanimous this time. If you want to punish anyone, you can punish me. Please, leave my family some way out." He didn't beat around the bush and apologize directly. His voice was so dull and lost of all energy. He is really being sincere. Sam just gave a cold smile and said, "Sir, are you making a mistake? How can a low-level puny cultivator can possibly take your apology?" Even though his words are humble, they were filled with mockery. The family head didn't know what to say. "If you really want to show your sincerity, I have a request. I am going to auction some items in next monthly auction at Evergreen Family. I hope family head can patronize me," Sam said after some thought. He is trying to use this chance to make some money. Even though he can extort from him, he didn't really want to do that and stoop so low. In this way, he can at least give Freya some face. He can't leave the Crimson Flame family alone after what they did. But he can't directly annihilate the family on account of Freya. Even though their relationship isn't deep, he really didn't want to leave the first friends he made in this life on such a sour note. Crimson Flame family head was ecstatic after he heard the news. He really didn't think that matter could be solved with money. After all, he was prepared to worst-case scenario where Sam wouldn't forgive him at all. He stood up and thanked Sam before leaving as he sighed in relief. Sam then looked at the artisan tower head. Sir Sam, it is just that there is an important issue. That is why I came to disturb you. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to disturb you. The tower head hurriedly explained. Sam just looked at him calmly and said, just get it over with. Yes. There's a notice from the Count City's artisan tower. Usually, when there is a genius artisan, the immediate superior artisan tower will make a visit to him to give their appreciation and offer to move to a better environment. County City's artisan tower also wants to send someone over. So, I am here to confirm your schedule. The tower head explained his purpose. Sam pondered for a moment and said, I will be going to the Count City in a few days. I will visit the tower myself. They don't have to make a visit here. Tower head didn't speak anything and just nodded. He clearly knew about the tournament and already thought that Sam might have already made it to the team. Then I will take my leave. He bid farewell and just as he was about to make his move, Sam stopped him. Wait. Sir Sam, you have anything I can help you with? He asked with a bit of expectation. He really wants to mend their relationship. Do you know the tower head of the pharmaceutical tower and his son Albert? Sam asked with a casual tone. Upon mention of Albert, tower head immediately understood. Sir Sam, does that brat Albert find any trouble with you? I need you to arrange a meeting with him for me. Better, if it is a surprise visit in the tower itself. Sam said, avoiding the question. Tower head thought for some time and nodded. I will see what I can do. I will send you the details tomorrow. He said and bid his farewell. Sam then sent him off and took out the bunch of materials he bought 2 days before and said to himself, now, it is time to make preparations for auction. Sam is now inside the tower's second floor. Since it can be used for anything other than the cultivation purposes, he is now using this to make his goods. Right now, he is drawing an inscription circle, and the circle is not your normal first-rank inscription, rather it is for first-rank inscription formation circle. In the center of the circle, Sam put a robe which is red in color with a flaming design. This is the robe for male which he created. He used the Heaven Spirit silk moth which evolved with the fire elemental energy, and used that silk to make this robe. The robe is mostly red in color, and the embroidery indicated as if it was burning with flames. He completed the circle and went to the node point. There is also a formation that is laid down in order to support the spiritual energy level to him. Sam manipulated the spiritual energy and started infusing it to the complex inscription circle. The whole circle lit up and started converging towards the center. The energy level inside the formation also started depleting as the inscription got closer. Soon, the inscription has completely formed as it appeared on the inside of the robe. By this time, Sam already fell on the floor and panted heavily while sweating profusely. After catching his breath, he stood up and walked towards the robe and then wore it. He then injected his spiritual energy, and a transparent hemisphere appeared with him as center, and soon the spiritual energy started to gather towards him. This is a spirit gathering formation. Sam inscribed this formation onto the robe directly. Actually, some people who are rich enough would buy an array disc and use it in expeditions or battles to increase the rate of energy gathered. But Sam used his research and experiments to inscribe it directly on the robe. Since the robe is also made of the Heaven Spirit silk of fire elemental energy, it will also provide resistance against fire attacks for some extent, along with a defense for the attack, up to the level of peak level acolyte. If he used some defense inscriptions, he can make it defend a novice level 1 attack. Sam looked at the robe with satisfaction and stored it away. He came out of the dimension and took a seat in his living room as he sighed and took a big gulp of water. He is really exhausted. This is the day of auction. For the past few days, Sam continuously kept on making clothes and inscriptions. This is auction material he is going to put on sale. The 3 days he spent on the clothes, which is 30 days inside the tower, he made a single dress every day, out of which 28 of them are auctioned off. The remaining 2, well, he is a man of his words. Sam came out of the mansion and looked at the river. He suddenly had an urge to swim. So, he took off his vest and directly jumped into the river and started swimming. After 1 hour of swimming, he finally felt satisfied and came out. It is already noon. He looked at the bright sun and smiled. The scene looked like it came out of a painting. His handsome face, his tall figure, his chiseled and bare upper body and black hair drenched in river water, the bright sunlight and his equally bright smile. The scene was mesmerizing. He enjoyed the feel for a few moments and walked back towards the mansion entrance. He changed his clothes and wore the newly made feathered black coat and came outside. It is about time, he murmured as he walked towards the city. Meanwhile in the artisan tower, the tower head is pacing at the reception, as if he was waiting for someone. Cully stood aside as she looked at her father. Soon, two middle-aged men came with exquisite robes and dignified auras. Both of them have badges with number 2 on it. They both are tower heads of the Inscription Tower and Formation Tower. When they looked at the artisan tower head pacing nervously, they couldn't help tease. "Hey Harold, what happened to you? You're pacing like a dog," the Inscription Tower head said as he chuckled. "Falter, Felix, you guys came. Now, that if that little ancestor arrives, we can go." Harold, who's the artisan tower head, replied. Falter is the Formation Tower head and Felix is the Inscription Tower head. Since these guys have more or less same position, they're naturally friends and had some dealings. "Why did you ask us to come all of a sudden?" Felix asked. Alfred's son, Albert, seemed to be offended Sam. "So, he asked me to arrange a surprise meet with Alfred to talk. It is not like you don't know Sam's temper. Just because he was called bastard, he made an artwork out of the kid from the Crimson Flame family. This Alfred is arrogant enough in front of us, now his own arrogant son has to provoke this demon. I am already had some differences with Sam. That is why I want to mend the relationship. I want you guys to help me. After he comes, accompany me to the pharmaceutical tower. This is the time when he teaches his apprentice. So, we have to make sure that we catch him at the spot. This is okay with me. Let us see how that arrogant bastard will flaunt his arrogance at a genius like Sam," Felix said. "Let us see how it goes." Falter spoke. Soon Sam came to the artisan tower head and looked at the three middle-aged men and looked a little puzzled. He walked towards Harold and spoke. "Hello. Are the arrangements done?" He directly greeted and asked about the situation. He completely ignored the other two middle-aged men. Harold felt like gloating as he looked at his friend's expressions. "Sir, Sam. These are Formation Tower head Falter and Inscription Tower head Felix," he introduced. Sam looked at them and said, "Hello. I am Sam." His reply was short and on to the point. His voice was calm and collected. He really didn't treat them like seniors at all. Both the elders felt a little awkward as they were completely used to the flowery words from every junior they met. Now, only they felt how it is to meet a really capable one. The people with capability will not act subservient to others. "Sir Sam, both of them will be accompanying us to the pharmaceutical tower. At this moment Alfred will be teaching his apprentice or would be supervising the ground floor. So, if you want to surprise him, this will be best time," Harold said. Because that jerk will be tooting his own horn at the newly joined apprentice, he inwardly thought. "No problem." Sam replied and made his way along with other three tower heads, and Cully also meekly followed after them. She was really curious as how Sam would deal with this. She is also third year in the academy and clearly knew about Albert. When she heard that Albert had offended Sam, she immediately thought that Albert was dead. After a few moments only she realized that with Sam's current prowess, it is almost impossible to kill him. When she heard from her father about how Sam wanted to meet Albert's father instead, she was quite surprised and confused. That is why she is following them to see what he will do. After a few minutes the group of 5 came to the pharmaceutical tower. Now, Sam is wearing all his badges and open. When people saw the 3 big shots along with Sam and all the badges, they immediately guessed his identity. This caused a commotion in the tower. When Alfred, who was relishing in the admiration of all the apprentices in the ground floor, heard the commotion, he was about to come out, but the group already reached the door of the room. When he saw the other 3 tower heads with Sam, he frowned. "Harold, what is with the commotion? Why make a big fuss when you come?" Alfred asked with a clearly displeased tone. He didn't address Sam at all. It is you, no matter how much of a genius Sam is, him greeting him first is loss of status, since he is now in higher status. In his mind a pillmaster is higher than artisan. That is why he didn't even budge when saw the rank 3 scholar artisan badge. Sam just sized up the arrogant and haughty Alfred. He is just like his son. His face will blend in the crowd naturally. Nobody would bother to pick him out of a group. He made his way to the room and looked around. The room has 3 big green lizards. Sam recognized them in a glance. They are green scale lizards. Each lizard is kept on a table and completely bound by various inscriptions and articrafts. All 3 of them are at level 2 peak, and all of them have their legs severed. Blood dripped from the wound. Sam looked at the scene and immediately understood what is happening. There are 3 people standing near each table. They are healers, who are practicing healing lessons. Actually, they use these green scale lizards to practice because the severed limb will grow, as long as they were fed with enough water spiritual energy. All the healers are rank 1 healers. They will make a wound and heal it. They might make some mistakes as the beast level is at the highest of the rank 1 healer could handle, and the wound will heal irregularly. They will repeat the process, and after the practice is completed, they will sever the spoiled leg and place the lizards inside the water spiritual energy environment, and let it heal itself. Even though they might take a considerable time, the healers didn't care. When Sam walked towards the bound lizards, he observed as he looked at them. Even though he is ruthless, he felt that torturing the beasts without any particular enmity is still beneath him. All the healers standing there immediately walked away and stood behind Alfred. They felt their hair stand as they saw Sam's cold gaze. "Mr. Alfred, I am Sam. I am here today to speak about your son Albert. Sam said without looking at him at all. He is still looking at the binding articraft chains on the lizards. As soon as Alfred heard his son, his expression changed and he whispered something in a healer's ear and walked towards Sam. What do you have to say? He asked with a frown. Well, your son Albert came to my mansion uninvited a few days ago, and then ranted on that he wants me to do this, and that for him is protection fee in the school. So, I am here to discuss that. Sam replied and took a seat in one of the 3 chairs in the room. Please take a seat. He gestured Alfred to sit, which the latter followed. Mr. Sam, you seem to be mistaken. I know my son. With your status, isn't it beneath you to slander others? Young men nowadays are being spoiled. Alfred didn't admit, but he couldn't help feel disappointed in heart. He really said the truth, and that is he really knew his son, and his son would definitely do what Sam had said. But knowing is one thing and admitting is another. Dad, are you looking for me? Suddenly Albert came in, and when he looked at Sam, his face brightened and said, Are you done with my order? He didn't even see his father's expression when he said that. He was really enthusiastic when he saw Sam. But he is bound to be disappointed. Sam looked at Alfred with a hint of mockery and disdain. What are you waiting for? Take out the goods. Albert didn't see the situation and just demanded again. Alfred suddenly wanted to bash his son so hard that he would lay on the bed for a month. He is now in a spa because of him. His didn't see the big shots in people and directly trying to extort from a genius. Suddenly, Sam missed his gun. He really wanted to bury a whole magazine of shots in this Albert's chest at point-blank range. He stood up and walked towards one of the lizards which are tied up, and then placed his hand on a binding chain. He looked towards Alfred and spoke. Mr. Alfred, I am here because I have something to say. Because, you might find this useful in future. As he said that, the chain he touched suddenly turned into powder, and he moved to another chain on the lizard. The spectators are looking at it incredulously. He didn't seem to care and continued. You might not know, but I am a person who advocates pride and arrogance, because I am quite proud and arrogant myself. Your son Albert wanted to use his status as a novice to extort something from me. As he said this, all the bindings on the lizard are in powder state. Your son also threatened me using your position as a pill master. Indeed, the people from the pharmaceutical tower have higher status in the society. But I know that there are differences in the statuses between the people from the pharmaceutical tower as well. For example, a healer is higher rank than a pill master. Isn't right? Sam said as he placed his hand on the wound of severed leg of lizard. He looked at Alfred and said, An advice, Mr. Alfred. Your son's arrogance for your status will be just like a healing spell. He can save himself from some people. Just like how he can heal some wounds just like this. As he spoke, the golden light started emitting from the hand, and in a rapid pace the new leg started growing, and within a few dumbfounding seconds, there is new leg. Sam then patted the lizard's head, and then took the severed leg into his hand. But if he is drunk from arrogance from your status excessively, this might happen. As he said that, suddenly the leg in his hands turned into a meat paste in his hands. Even the bones were not spared. All the spectators took a step back and felt fearful. I came here to tell this today not because I am afraid of your status or something. I could have dealt with your son with many means. But that you will interfere with your revenge pursuit with unlimited hypocrisy, which I hate to my guts. That is why I am informing you directly. If your son comes to me again, remember that my cultivation will not stay same all the time. He said and walked towards the entrance along with the 3 big shots and Kelly. The 3 big shots didn't say a thing today, because they just wanted to watch the show, and try to help Harold a little to improve his relation with Sam, as his main trade is artisan. But when they looked at Alfred's current expression,